we have now opened it up to a lot of stories that they haven't told. In fact, in the credits, we start to see clippings from Iris's book that tell of stories that haven't been told in the Final Destination series. So I do want to talk a little bit about how this has opened up to new things, but I also want to ask the both of you regarding the ending. So we get to the fact that we have got down to Stephanie and her brother, the final two, and they believe that they have done exactly what they were told. The one thing they could do, which was to die and get brought back in order to change the cycle or get death to remove itself from your span. They believe this has happened because Stephanie goes underwater, she drowns, she gets brought back, resuscitated, all is good, and a week later we're in this happy-go-lucky scene. Well, not so much. I mean, we're getting prepared for a funeral, I guess, service, but at least they feel like that's the end of it. This is the last bad thing that they're going to have to attend. When all of a sudden, the doctor, who happens to be the father of the girl that her brother's going to prom with, or something along those lines, mentions that she never was dead. If he was able to resuscitate her, her heart never stopped, and she was never actually dead. And that realization right there that, we might not have beaten this thing after all. We do get into then finding the train wreck. We see the logs that end up taking out both Stephanie and her brother. But my question is this another premonition? Because had she maybe cheated it just enough that she would have the premonition about the way her and her brother would end, and could this immediately lead to a sequel that could tag on to the ending of Bloodlines? And Jamie, I'll start with you on this one.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah, it does make sense with how sort of outrageous that scene is, with how far the train gets off the track. So yeah, possibly, and it would be a perfect idea to do a sequel that way. But yeah, I feel like they're probably just going to try something fresh again and try and reinvent it again if they're doing a whole new cast of characters rather than carry anyone on. But now that Bloodworth's gone, maybe they do need that one sort of linchpin character to continue on, and it could be the Stephanie character.
It would be interesting for sure. Astrid, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way, but I think I was thinking after the movie ended, like, why kill off the two people that can carry this on and make like a whole new chapter of it at the same time? Because she could be that kind of person that introduces this to somebody else before she passes away, the way her grandma did with her. So I was thinking along those lines, and then when I saw that they died, I was like, oh, there goes my theory. But now that I think about it, what you said is like, I think it is something interesting, and she does have a premonition, and who knows if she's able to talk to all these people that are around them, and thinking like, and the people affected by the tragedy or the accident here itself in the scene, and just thinking like she can carry this on to somebody else. I feel like that will be something interesting. I remember like my partner being like watching it with him. He's like, why don't I just go off to the side? It's like going through the middle of the street. There's two other sides of the street that can go through. And I was like, I know, it's so frustrating, and we can't even do anything about it. But I think it would be interesting if they would have survived, just because I feel like there would have been a interesting idea of carrying this on somehow. And then they have so many other people with them in that particular scene. Like, I feel like anybody else could be that person there. And I was like, I would have liked for that to happen. But at the same time, I thought about, and even later, I've been watching a couple of videos about it, just the foreshadowing of the logs and everything, because it was something that when her mom was driving the RV, and they stopped, the truck with the logs was the one that passes on in front of them too, giving us that foreshadowing that it was going to be affecting them later on. But if it's a premonition, I think that would make it more interesting, though.
For sure.
Maybe the lady with the penny is the one that continues on and is the linchpin for the future series.
That dang penny.
Yeah, they need to seriously discontinue the printing of the penny after this movie. My other thought on a sequel, and hear me out on this, is because we find out from JB the other way to cheat death is to take somebody else's life and take whatever life they have left to live from them, which led to a very almost like disturbingly funny dark comedy moment when the two brothers are standing in front of the nursery and looking at the babies. They're like, no, that's not going to happen. And I'm like, yeah, please don't go to that direction. I mean, we've had children die in movies before, but I don't think we need to go this step for Final Destination. But hear me out on this. What if somebody with this type of knowledge knowing that death is after them, wanted to cheat it as long as possible and started to become a serial killer, taking other people's lives in order to prolong their own life in order to cheat death. Would that add a new spin to it? Curious your thoughts on that, Ashton.
I feel like you have to be really cold-hearted to be going that route at the same time. Because I feel like even though they thought about it, they were like, nah, we can't do that. But even then, I thought about it when they, in that particular scene, it's like, just because it's a baby doesn't mean it's going to have more life than you. What if the baby passed away the next day, though? You never know. So, like, it's a tricky situation at the same time, because I thought about it in my mind, since, like, we all have different timelines. So what if you kill somebody and they were supposed to die the next day anyway? So you're dead then? So that would be like something interesting. Like you decide to go after somebody that have very little time left. So I don't think the hospital would be a good scene for you to pick up on somebody to begin with. But who knows? It's like, I think that will be a little bit more like another kind of level of like cold-hearted versus what we got before. And I think the other person that kind of tried that in that aspect will be the one from the second movie. And even then it was herself, like basically she died and then came back to life. So it was different in that aspect of it too. But who knows? I'm like, at this point, it's like, I think what Final Destination is one of those franchises that they could exaggerate in such a way that we will still watch it and enjoy it. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were that rowdy either way. So you never know.
We're horror fans. We're accustomed to it. Jamie, your thoughts on that one or any other potential sequel talk?
I like the idea of like the serial killer one where they're just like stacking time on top after every kill. I think that'd be cool. And they'd have to, their kills couldn't just be like, oh, I just ran up and shot someone or stabbed someone. It would have to be these big, elaborate kills that make it look like an accident, so that you can like still play into the Final Destination tropes of, oh, this person got crushed in a garbage truck or a lawnmower to the skull. But do it in fresh ways where it's being set up by someone, not just freak accidents.
Becomes Home Alone meets Destination.